Infamous. 1995 was the year. We
Word,
got
word.
on the FaceTime HAVOC, man, the producer. Prodigy helped you learn how to start producing. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely he did. Because his grandmother was kind enough. She knew she was in tune with what we was doing. She bought Prodigy some production equipment and Prodigy had it first and he showed me how to work the certain gear we had.
Y'all had before Mobb Deep, y'all already had a group, Poetical Prophets, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Poetical Prophets. That was our name first. And what kind of made us change it was because we was cool with Puffy back then when he was working for Uptown, and he wanted to sign us, but he was like, "Man, y'all got to change your names." And we came up with Mobb Deep later on.
How did you and Prodigy meet? Like, what was the actual, do you remember?
I can't really remember per se, detail for detail, but we had a mutual, excuse me, a mutual friend in common. His name was Black. He was from the Bronx. He went to art and design. And one of the stories that Prodigy says that I kind of remember was I used to fight a lot after school. You know what I'm saying? In high school, just being reckless, a little bit bad or whatever. Trying to be a tough guy. And this one time I was bothering a kid, and the kid tried to stab me. You know what I mean? And it kind of caught me on my army jacket or whatever. So I went back into school raising hell, and Prodigy and it was kind of there, and that's when we kind of became aware of each other.
RIP Prodigy. It's been maybe 3 years since
Going on 3, yeah, going on 3.
going on 3. Um, when these moments come around, I'm sure it's very emotional for you. Through thick and thin, you guys was brothers. I'd love for you, for the Mobb Deep fans, before we bring in Ray and Tip, I'd love for you to maybe share some words with the fans and the family, and just, this album changed our lives, man.
It did. I couldn't be more thankful for this album. We celebrating the 25th anniversary of this album, but it's a bittersweet moment. You know what I mean? And I'm trying my hardest to describe everything, but it'll always be incomplete, you know what I'm saying, with these celebrations because, Prodigy, like you said, he was very vivid, you know what I'm saying, in telling his side of the story. And I just I want to say thank you to Prodigy. I want to say thank you to his family for sharing them with me and the world, and, as long as I'm breathing, I'm always going to represent him. You know what I mean? He was a larger than life figure to me and a brother.
We celebrating 25 years of the Infamous. We're gonna have Raekwon join the conversation next.
What's happening, Lords?
Word up.
Yo, you blessed, you safe, you healthy on that side?
Yeah, man. Yup. Staying quarantined.
Stay low,
Quarantine.
brother.
Quarantining it for real, for real.
Word up. For
Uh,
real.
Yo, don't play around outside. It's real out there.
Nah.
Not at all. You already know, man.
Thank you for taking time to celebrate the Infamous with us today,
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
25 years.
25 joints, and it don't even feel like it.
Yo,
Word.
and
Feel like
hey,
Word.
yo, Ray, when the last time you listened to it though?
Listen, me, I could say the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, I'm constantly, in the Pandora zone with it, and just
Yeah.
listening to the stuff that kind of keeps me feeling good too. Though, it's like I love those times. I love what we was doing. Infamous album was serious. It's like the cousin of Cuban Links.
Word. Word up.
You know,
Yeah.
Straight up.
when you think of albums, when you think of New York albums, you have to mention the Infamous for sure.
Only Built came out in August of the same year that the Infamous did, right?
Exactly.
95. So we gotta celebrate that moment,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And really talk about what that meant for the culture.
Right now it's Infamous time, so
That's
you
right.
know what I mean. I'm gonna tip my hat to that first, though.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
yeah.
How much did being a part of this Infamous let you know how sharp you needed to be on Only Built?
Oh my God, it was like I said, it was the Olympics. It was like being next to dudes, that I know, you got to be ready. Not
Yeah.
only just to, become clever, but really just do what you got to do. Make the record. Don't f- the record up. You know what I
Right.
mean? it was always about, with any record that we did, yo, we gonna come and add on to it and make it powerful as well, and don't slow the momentum up. So I was just worried about that the most, is just keeping up with them, because I tell people to this day, my favorite rappers come from Queens, and
Mm.
I just felt like I just had to just give them what they felt was good. And once they said, yo, solid, solid, that's when I knew I passed the exam.
Do you have a favorite record on the Infamous, and you can't pick one of the songs that you're featured on? Something.
You can't hit me with those questions. We listen,
Yeah.
yo, listen. We body your work, man.
Yeah,
Word,
there you
we
go. Talk
we
to
don't
him.
make we don't feed off of one record.
word,
When you
word.
think about a lot of artists that do their thing, it was like it's about that body of work, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
could never answer that question, because Monday I'm feeling this. I'm feeling Cradle to
Right.
the Grave.
Right, right,
Wednesday I'm feeling this. Right back at
right,
the other.
right.
So that's the type of records that, to me, it was all about body of work type.
Yo, let's get Q-Tip on the line. That's the brother that
Ask Pat.
abstract. The Infamous album is often misinterpreted as an album that just highlights street life. But unless you are from this life and know people from this life, you don't understand that this album, in how vivid it is in talking about the trials and tribulation and trying to overcome and get out of the way of the pitfalls of the neighborhood.
That I really want everybody to know when you're listening to it today, y'all. A young, maybe a 18-year-old
Mm-hmm.
black young black man who's faced with all who had a horrible welfare system that he
Mm-hmm.
had to go through, a
Word,
horrible public school system that he had to go through.
word.
His parents had nobody to vote for. They're looking at that plate with King and Kennedy, and yeah, it's good, but who's really speaking for us? It was just a disconnect. I don't
Mm-hmm.
vote. I'm old enough to vote, but what I'm gonna vote for? It was just a disenchantment all the way around. So the infamous was about you and your cohorts who you came out and did that thing with, whatever that thing was,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was going to school or staying on the corner.
Word.
But y'all coming up, that young black man finding his way, his identity of self, his realization of self through a disparate time. But
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, Have and P was blessed and anointed. You know what I'm saying, with the talent and the opportunity and the timing too, to be
Yeah.
able to do this. Because people talk about my involvement in it. I just did a couple of records and just turned some knobs. Anybody could
Nah,
do
nah,
that.
nah. You
Wait,
set you set the
hold
tone.
up.
You set the
I
tone.
could do that. I could do that. I could turn a knob or two. But if it was not for the spirit of y'all brothers, like, and Havoc, you a monster. Like, I want you to know. Swiss and them doing all that don't keep it funky. He's don't want to toy around with you, boy. All right?
Thank you, man.
And,
Thank you.
niggas need to give it up.
Just to close us out and tell us what this Infamous album not only means to you as an individual in hip hop, but what it means to you as a young black man that could relate to the stories being told in this album, and what people should listen to in the detail. Because a lot of times people miss the detail and the perspective in a lot of these projects that are classic hip hop, especially this Infamous album.
I think Tip was definitely, he was touching on some real, because at that time it was like we was men but still young, trying to find our way. And all we was doing was basically giving people an opportunity to take a peek inside our worlds and see the things that we were subjected to. Seeing the struggle hands on, and knowing that at the end of the day, somebody might be on the other side of the world that is going to sit there and say, wow, I thought that was only my set. I thought that was
Right.
for
Mm.
my community with those
Right.
circumstances that was going on at that
Right.
time. And like he said, you had to be there to understand all the circumstances that we was dealing with, far as not having father figures. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Looking up to the OGs that we knew they was crooks, but it was something about them that made them special too.
Yeah.
And being able to make an album that was rounded, that gave off those kind of artifacts, it's like it was deep. It wasn't like it was just we trying to be tough and that was just our way of living at that time.